Hello and welcome to the show for entrepreneurs you should know. I am your host, Matthew Kolinsky, and today we have a special guest on the show. His name is Naim Hamdar, and he is the managing partner for Card Connect Florida. He is a longtime Tampa entrepreneur, and he really has lived the American dream where he was born in Lebanon. He's moved over to the U.S. when he was 9 years old. His story is something that's going to go down in the history books. So without further ado, and on behalf of the EO Tampa Bay, Central Florida, I'd like to welcome you to the show by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And again, my name is Matthew Kolinsky, and I am your host. Let's get the show started and go ahead. Naim, I'm bringing you up on the screen. How you doing today, buddy?
Hey, brother. Thank you for having me, Matt. It's really an honor to be on the show and be amongst the other entrepreneurs that you will be interviewing.
Well, if anybody is honored, it's me, because you have been one of my mentors since I've joined EO Entrepreneur Organization. And really, since I've moved down to Tampa, your name has been one of those names that have been around the Tampa market, and especially the entrepreneur circles, for years, almost 2 decades of entrepreneurship in Tampa. So this is a great aspect of not only the community in Tampa, but really, your story goes way beyond anything that I could have ever imagined.
Thank you so much, man. I'm humbled by everything you're saying.
Of course. Just for the viewers to know, we both are part of the same fraternity, although we went to different schools. And it was one of those clicks when I first met Naim, and it was like, man, you're like, you got the same blood as me, and what's going on? And it wasn't until a few months we realized we were both part of SAEs in college. So shout out to SAE for anybody who's watching who is a brother from another mother from SAE standpoint. Anyway, we'd love to have everybody on our show, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube, as well as Periscope with Twitter, but this is going to be reposted. Love to continue the conversation afterwards as well. Feel free to leave any comments along the show. So let's get started. So Naim, love to hear your story. Love to hear about your company. What is Card Connect Florida? What is your passion in terms of your business? And let's start from there. So I'll open it up to you.
Yeah, so my business, Card Connect Florida, is a payment processor. We started out just, as any other payment processor. We sold door-to-door, retail operations. Through the progression, through our growth over the many years, and through the connections that we have within the industry, we've grown to be much more than that. Card Connect Florida today is an organization that helps drive technology at the point of payments, and we do it in a secure and reliable way.
Okay.
And it's cost effective.
So what does that mean? What makes you different?
So a lot of companies that have, so in today's market, you have a need for, many more things than you would have, say 1990, right? In 1990, you needed just a regular terminal. You need to accept credit cards as a method of payment, and many times it's one type of card, like I'll take Visa or I'll take the card, right? Through the years, that has come full circle. I mean, there's people that are building specific technology for their own industry, and it's a whole business in a box, you can call it. So they'll help you operate the business, and part of helping you operate the business, they want an integrated software for payments. So they want an integrated experience where it happens under one umbrella, and it's a smooth process.
And that's got to be, not only for the platforms, but for the business owners who's using the platforms to have an integrated credit card processing built in. It just saves you from the hassle of having to manage multiple systems and having it kind of separate as compared to built in.
Right. And another thing is if you're a company that's selling B2B, so your customers are not card present customers.
Right.
So it's no longer just, a credit card that you take from a customer and you run. Like, there's invoices that have to happen.
Yeah.
There's different levels of interchange.
Yeah.
How to protect, your credit cards from being fraudulent, because many people don't, what many people don't realize is when you apply for a credit card account, it's
as a customer taking payments, right?
as a customer taking payments, right? It's essentially like going out and getting a loan, right? But we never look at it that way as a business owner, because essentially what happens is, if I go apply for a credit card processing account and they give me the ability to do $100,000 in payments a month, you would think, okay, well, I'm giving you guys a lot of business. Like, you need to treat me right, and you need to do all of these things. And of course, we're going to do that. But first, first step is we have to make sure that you qualify to do these payments, and how you're processing these payments, so you don't get yourself in trouble where you have a bunch of chargebacks or your business goes belly up. We're left holding the bag as an organization.
Yeah, right? as the credit card processor of those payments, because you're essentially allowing the person the person to buy a product on a loan.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Exactly. So we help bridge that gap. So part of what we do is we take a very consultative approach. We talk to our customers, because at the end of the day, these customers are not customers for me. For me or my organization, right? They become part of our family, right? They're just a different type of family, right? It's not like my wife and kids family, but it's my business family. Like, this is what I'm looking to build an empire, and you only build an empire by having raving fans, and that's how I like to look at my customers. That I want them to be raving fans.
So how did you get into credit card processing? Let's tell your story, kind of a little bit about the background, because I think it's been fascinating. You've been in the credit card processing industry for over 15 years. And it's really, I mean, you've seen so many evolutions, not only from security of the consumer, but also security of the customers that are selling the products. And so your story is unique in the fact that you've been in one industry for so long. It's very similar to the evolution of staffing over the past 15 years. From my experience, it's just been it's a totally different game-changing environment than it was 15 years ago.
Right. So I'll start from the beginning, Matt. So at the age of 18, I come from a Lebanese background. In Lebanese culture, we're a very close-knit family. You don't move out of your parents' house until you get married. Like the very traditional, right?
Yep.
I think I was 17 going on 18, and it was my senior year of high school. And I sat my mom down. I said, listen, Mom, I'm moving out at 18. I want to figure this thing out on my own. I want to be in a position of power. I don't want to rely on anybody. My parents couldn't support me at the time. I mean, they had their own struggles as immigrants into a new country.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of wanted to go out into the world, like put myself in the fire and figure my way out. So I did. I moved out at 18, and I remember I had a conversation with my uncle at the time. My uncle is very well-to-do. He came here early, got educated in the U.S., and continued his career. Today is VP of a massive company, and he's doing very well for himself. But he told me, Naim, like, I support you 100%. Just know that if you go out, there's no room for failure.
There's no net to fall back on.
Yeah, that for some reason stuck in my head, and I'm like, dude, there is no way I'm failing. Right? There's no way. I'll work 10 jobs if I have to. I'm not failing. So I moved out. I valeted cars. I had a job at Ruth Chris, and I had a job at Charlie's.
Nice.
And I also, on the weekends, I managed the Gold Center store in the University Mall by USF.
Okay.
So with all of these experiences, I also had time to play, and I was in a fraternity, and I was going to school, kind of. Right?
Yeah, sure.
So the fraternity opened me up to, introduced me to a lot of people. It was fun. And on Thursday nights, we used to go out to this place in Ybor City. We would all cram in there, about 200 to 2,000 people in this small place called Full. And it just clicked in my head. I'm like, why is everybody coming to this place? Right? Like it's a crap hole, right? This is not a place like where 2,000 people should go, right? I had an idea. I'm like, there's all these different clubs in the area and they're all closed, yet everybody's coming to this place. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So I went and I talked to the owner of 1509, Kenny Soul. I still remember his name. And I convinced him to allow me to promote and kind of take control of that night, to allow me to hire the staff at the bar and hire the security guards. And if I didn't bring in 1,000 people within the first 4 weeks, then he could have everything. I'll walk away. But if I did bring in 1,000 people, I'd have 50% of the door, and he'd have 100% of the bar. I didn't want the bar money, right? So, and it worked really well because I hired fraternity and sorority people as bartenders and so on and so forth. We hired football players as the security guard.
Sure.
And that was really my first experience in entrepreneur. It was fun, man. It was really fun.
Well, you put it all on the line. You could have it all back if you didn't make the minimum number of people.
Yeah, honestly, I had nothing on the line. That's the most thrilling thing.
That's true.
Actually, because I was young. I was working 3 jobs. So what I had on the line was the ability to quit everything else if this worked.
Yeah.
And then going back to what my uncle said, failure is not an option. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I put this place at capacity within the first 4 weeks. And we did, man. The first night, I think we did 1,200 people.
Talk about an overachiever.
Look, it was just a smart strategy. And I don't know if I had like the intelligence enough to figure out what I was doing, or it was just luck. I really don't know to this day.
Part of it's both. I think it's, there's some kind of connection that people have with each other, and sometimes it's a little bit of luck, but I think it's taking advantage of the opportunity. How many other people would have said, hey, give me 4 weeks and I'll over deliver? Yeah,
they were going in there and just paying their $40, $50 a night to drink and have fun. I wanted to turn it into a business. And really, like, it's a lot of the work happened by the people that I hired, because when you have 20, 30 people working in a facility that are all pushing in the same direction,
rowing in the
job is easy. Right? And that lesson I take with me from that day. I bring it to, I brought it into any organization that I belong in, right? Whether it's entrepreneurs organization or my own company or another company that I do, or my future companies, right? Like, everybody that's on the boat has to be aligned and as passionate as the entrepreneur. If they are, then there's no way you could fail, right? If they're not, then your job as an entrepreneur is to make sure that they are.
What a valuable lesson you learned so early in life, the power of a team rowing in the right direction. I mean, a lot of times it takes years to develop a team like that, and somehow you were able to gather a whole bunch of people in the same phase of life and really just say, hey guys, this is the goal, let's do it. And then something had to click at that time. You had to have gone and been like, I think I'm an entrepreneur now.
Yeah, I was it. I was just, it met a lot of girls. I was a popular kid. I mean, it was cool. But what that did is I got to branch out into other clubs and other nights, and then it just broadened my connections.
Yeah.
Now, granted, a lot of these people that you meet in the bar scene, you don't want as your friends for the rest of your life. So it's kind of 2020, but there's a lot of people that I met that, I still I'm in contact with today. Right. And I run into sometimes doing business, and they're like, hey, Naim, what are you up to now? And so
and I know that the next phase you were managing a T-Mobile store, or was it T-Mobile, or was it a?
Yeah. So as I got out of, so I was in the club business for about 5 years.
Okay.
And
You got your degree? Yes, you did.
What was that?
I said, did you get your degree at the end of it?
I did.
Okay.
It took a while. I took some time off, but
All right.
and yeah, so being in the club business made me realize that I don't want to be in the club business.
That's true.
It's not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I was looking for a way out and wanted to do it in a way that was transitionary. But as soon as I found sort of the cell phone industry, I just basically left everything and jumped on that. I opened a couple stores with my brothers, and then one of my stores did really well, so it got me some exposure to ATI Ameritel, and that was the company that was like a national distributor of T-Mobile for third-party owned stores.
Right.
Because if you're a third-party owned cell phone store, you can't go and just contract directly with T-Mobile.
Right.
You have to go through one of their distributors. So there was only two distributors for the East Coast, and this was one of them.
Yep.
So, my store did well for the organization. So I heard of a regional management position opening up, so I applied for it. They, of course, knew who I am and hired me immediately. So
that talks about the beginning of your legacy quest and the fact that they knew about you kind of almost before you applied based on your previous successes.
Right. So yeah. So thank you for mentioning that, because in everything that I do, Matt, I do to plant a seed, and not for anybody else, but for, so if I do business with you, Matt, or if I am connected with you through EO, I want to give you value, man. Like I want to make an impact on your life, because that's my purpose. That's I want to build a legacy. Like with everything that I do, it has to carry me through somewhere else, right? It's many times like I do things for people and like my team or people in EO are like, dude, why are you doing that? And I'm like, like I know this person may not deserve it, but if I can make an impact on someone, if they're a bad person to be a good person, that's putting positive energy out there.
Sure.
That energy is going to come back to me somehow. It may not come back to this guy, but it may come back through, this guy, because he's in a better situation, does something for somebody else. And that somebody else may be like a pure person, like a really good person, and he was in a desperate need. And he does a prayer, or he asks God, like, God, however this was brought to me, please bless this person.
Sure.
Right? And the person that I helped may not be the one single person that, did this out of their pure heart. They did this because I taught them something, or they got something out of me, and that's why they did it. I get the benefit of that. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by legacy is I always look to say it's not always transactional for me to say it in another way.
Sure. Well, and one of the things you always talk about, and again, we can get back to the business, but one of the things you talk about, which I've really learned from you as a member of EO and really learned about the idea that you want to create your legacy for your family and your kids, but also your community and all of those circle of influences that you might not even know you have, but you want to infect them with graciousness, with gratitude. You want to almost have a spread of something that's much more powerful than you ever could imagine. And I know your faith is so strong in the fact that you believe that, if you could do something good and with a pure heart, it will expand. It will affect a lot more people.
And that's how it works, man. Because we all have a piece of God within us. If you think of the meaning of God, God just gives and gives and gives and gives, and doesn't ask for anything in return but to be thankful.
Yeah,
and he does it for you. Like, he doesn't do it for him.
Sure.
God doesn't need us. We need him.
Right.
and we all have a piece of that within us. God instilled us with this power within us.
Yeah.
And how far are we willing to dig to um,
share it. Yeah.
Well, to dig within ourselves to bring this out, to be able to share, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's a personal thing. Like it's hard, man. It's hard not to think like, well, what is in it for me, right? Sometimes nothing. There's nothing in it for you.
Sometimes, I mean, I think being around other entrepreneurs, I think our first tendency is to care for those in our business, care for our customers, care for everybody except us. In fact, I would challenge that most entrepreneurs probably listening to this, have been in that situation where they don't pay themselves. They're the last to get paid if there is any money left, but they go above and beyond for their business family, for their community, for their customers, for, again, being that really selfless in many ways.
You have to be. I mean, people, there's a misconception actually that entrepreneurs are all about themselves.
Yeah.
Where a true entrepreneur, not a wantrepreneur, and an entrepreneur, is all about others. I mean, they reap the benefit big time once they succeed, once they accomplish their mission.
Yep.
But the journey there is a long journey, and there's a lot of failure along the way. There's a lot of challenges along the way. But people only see the end. They don't see everything in between, and in between is what creates your ending, right?
Yep. Well, it's kind of like the 15 years it took you to be an overnight success, right? I mean, your business is a great business now, but the 15 years it took to get to where it's at today, I'm sure you have more than one story of heartache and
and honestly, when people say I'm successful, I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, how am I successful? Like, I haven't achieved a drop of what I'm looking to achieve in the world, and I don't consider that success. And I think that's another sign of being an entrepreneur, right? Like, we're never satisfied with
that. Yeah, it's that thirst. Thirst not only for it's actually not much of a thirst for financial freedom. It's more of a thirst for personal satisfaction. You want to be happy with your product because it's yours. And if your product is never finished, it strives and pushes you to work harder.
Right. And the financial freedom portion, that isn't even about you either, because you do that so that you could take care of the ones that you love.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's not even about you either. I spend way more on others than I spend on myself. I barely spend anything on myself.
I think you might have bought me a meal or two along the way. I think that's good.
But yeah, so Matt, to go back to your point, the way I got into the payment space, one of my friends, so I was looking to exit the cell phone business. I did the job thing. I was regional manager for 2 years and absolutely hated it. I doubled the market in under 2 years, and my pay was, slightly changed.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be promoted anytime soon because, the next step would be national manager, and there's only 4 people around the nation doing that. And, they were still young and new with the company. Well, new enough. I wasn't going to go anywhere. One of my friends was in the payment space, and he was telling me about the payments business. I got really interested in it because I learned about residual, and that goes to legacy as well, right?
Yep.
What am I leaving behind for those who I care about? And that really got me attracted to the business. Unfortunately, though, the person I got into business with wasn't a very honest guy, and we stopped doing business together 6 months into it. But I love the business, and I decided to get into it. And he actually, he hurt me a lot. And the one differentiator, and this goes back to religion and being thankful and just being appreciative of whatever comes to you. When I launched my business, I started doing this morning prayer, and it goes along with a morning routine, right? This prayer is, 30 minutes before the morning prayer, and the morning prayer is at dawn, right?
Okay.
So like right now, morning prayer is at 5:50.
Okay.
This prayer, the best time to do it is about 30 minutes before that.
Okay.
So I get up at 5:20, do my prayer, and so on and so forth. I did that as I was launching my business because somebody told me about it. And it brings luck and it brings this and that and so on and so forth. In this prayer, you do forgiveness for 40 people, and you ask for God to grant 40 people good fortune and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask for things for them. And what I found myself doing is once I started praying that prayer, I pray for my family, right? Like they're the top of the list. I pray for those who have passed, who I'm close to, Then I found myself praying for those that have hurt me in a particular way, in business specifically. And I found myself praying for my ex-partner because I had so much hate for him. He got me audited my first year of business.
Welcome to business.
Yeah, he robbed me of $30,000. It was just a mess, man. It was a mess. But I found myself praying for him and asking for God to forgive him. And that essentially was the meaning of this prayer. And it was like my aha moment. It's like, I'm never going to hold anything in, because if I hold something in for somebody, like if you hurt me, Matt, in business or in life, and I hold on to that and I let it affect me, it may not affect you.
Right.
Just the experience affects me. But if I learn to let it go, I can go way past, just cruise past it. And that's what I found myself doing. Is I found myself just letting go of all the garbage and really just build my business. And really good fortune started to come to me because of it.
Cool.
And here I am 15 years later, still doing the same thing, massively larger than I was when I first started, and about to launch a new organization.
And you have a wonderful family as well, and you have twins, boy, girl, beautiful family. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I was disagreeing with you.
Yeah. Very good. So in your mind, legacy and entrepreneurship almost have a very similar track, and it's almost entrepreneur is a function of legacy, and legacy is a function of entrepreneurship. It can go both ways, and you've kind of seemed to go fast forward in both of those areas. What's next for you? What's going on this year and next year, and what's your goals in life?
Yeah, so I have a goal for everything. I have a goal for my family. I have a goal for my community. I have a goal for my business, and I set those and review them. I'm a long-term. I set things into motion 3 years, 5 years in advance. So every year I write a vision for myself, and that vision is living into the future, 3 years into the future, and what that day looks like for me. And I predicted my twins. I
remember that. Yeah, I remember that story. Yeah.
Through this process, and I didn't even realize I wrote it until one of my employees told me that I did. Yeah. And so what's next for me is, in terms of my community, we just launched a church. I was one of the founders.
Awesome.
We launched there a couple of years ago, and I've kind of been hands off. I was very involved, and I've been hands off. So in terms of my community, I'm going to get back involved with that.
Okay.
It's at a critical time because my business goals, I'm getting ready to launch a new company. So it's still in the payment space. I'm still going to be doing what I'm doing, but transitioning into a much bigger organization, meaning we're going to be the back end of our business and the front end of our business.
Okay, cool.
And we're going to have a lot of technology that we're developing along the way.
Okay.
That we've already developed and that we will be developing.
Okay.
yeah. So, and family wise, my wife is finishing her master's. She's going to go back into education. The kids are
Yeah.
so yeah. So I mean, I don't know specifically if you had like a direction that you want me to go in,
No,
but
I mean, yeah, I know you're on the board this year as well for EO Tampa Bay. You're on the membership board. How is, despite everything going on with the economy, we're still finding like the best of the best members to join. I'm
yeah,
super impressed with the newest members that have joined even this month.
yeah. So yeah, like you said, I've been on the board of Entrepreneurs Organization for a while. The one thing that attracted me to the Entrepreneurs Organization, that's part of my business community. The one thing that attracted me about the Entrepreneurs Organization is, the people that you're surrounded with make a huge difference on who you are as an individual. So what I mean by that is, you tell me who your 5 friends are, and I'll tell you what you're going to be like, if not now, in the future,
Yep.
right? And Tony Robbins
Yep.
talked about that proximity. So I had done many different business organizations that, were more of like a lead generation type of organizations.
Mhm.
But it wasn't until I got introduced to EO that I realized what EO is. And, the ecosystem that we've created here in the Tampa Bay area is just very, very driven individuals that are part of our chapter. Before I would share, my goals with just regular people, and they're like, "Dude, are you sure? Like, you have to dedicate your life
I've been there, done that.
goal." And I'm like, "Dude, but this is not like much. Like, I'm compromising with the
Yeah.
with these people. I'm not even really telling them what I actually want to accomplish.
Yep.
And they're already shutting it down. It's like, I don't want to be surrounded with those kinds of people. I want to be surrounded with people that lift me up,
Yep.
that help me achieve more. Like if I come and share with you my goal, and you're telling me, hey, like let's be more realistic, you're not
Yeah.
for me.
Get out of here. I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, I mean, hold me accountable, right? And
Yeah.
let's identify if this should be my goal.
Yeah.
Don't just shut my idea because you think the goal is too large, right? Like I want you to build me up. Like, okay, how can we help you accomplish this goal?
Yeah.
And that's what the Entrepreneurs Organization is all about.
I agree.
It's phenomenal organization for those who are not in it. I highly recommend it. And because of that, I dedicated myself to EO with serving on the board as strategic alliance partner chair, then president,
Yeah.
Membership chair, which is what I do now. It's time consuming, and I don't have the time, but I love these people that I meet. So
yeah, I'm a big proponent of relationships that build you up, but also sharing experiences with people within your passion. And both of us, I know, we are passionate about entrepreneurship in general, but having around, that personal forum experience mixed with those bigger events. I mean, no matter how much time it takes, I get more energy out of it than I spend on it.
Right,
period.
exactly. And that's the point is, the organization that you belong in, if you're going to spend time in an organization, make sure it's time well spent.
Yes.
Right? Like, don't just go do a bunch of organization expecting to meet a bunch of people that lead to nowhere, right? Dedicate yourself to 1 or 2 organizations and grow within that organization and help that organization grow, because it'll come back to you. Yep. Right? And that's what I've decided to do.
Cool. Well, this has been a great conversation. I'm just going to pull up your website to show everybody your cardconnectflorida.com. And let me just share it for everybody who wants to. Any last words on there it is, cardconnectflorida.com. Explore our platform. Great website. I think there's also a great picture of you I found on here somewhere. But yeah, this is, if you want to learn more about Card Connect Florida, I'm sure, how can people connect with you, Naim?
I mean, email is the best way. I'll share my email with CEO.
Is there a contact us on the website as
Yeah,
well?
contact us. You can contact me through the site.
Okay. So cardconnectflorida.com if you'd like to learn more about his services and overall, Naim, thank you very much for being a role model for me, a role model for the community. Your ideas of legacy has just been really revolutionized for me overall. And I'm really excited about where we're heading as a chapter, but also as a community. I think Tampa is one of those communities that's just starting to get some movement, and we're just starting to see where we can potentially go. And with enough entrepreneurs around, I think we're going to be a really big, awesome, powerful city in a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that, man.
So cool.
I am completely agreement with you.
Cool. Well, Naim, thank you again. I appreciate your time. This has been Entrepreneur You Should Know, and this is Naim Hamdar with Card Connect Florida. And again, my name is Matthew Klinsky, and I'm the host. And feel free to reach out to us at eotampabay.com for more information. Right. See you later, Naim.